I don't know how they did it, but the staff at Studio MAPPA somehow elevated the manga chapter that this episode was based on to a whole new level. The amount of detail, quality, and just emphasis on the overall build-up intention of Eren, that twist towards the end of the episode, is something that was just delivered so perfectly that I just cannot just help but say, well done. Like, well done, everyone that worked on this episode. You really did put in a lot of work. The love, the care is definitely there. Now, before I go into the twists with Eren, Zeke, and all the stuff that we got from this episode, because there is a lot to really just unbox from this episode of Attack on Titan, I want to talk about Grisha's voice actor, because I feel like this is going to be a single point that many are going to overlook very quickly because of just the sheer volume of content that this episode had. Grisha's voice actor needs to be praised, because that overall emotional breakdown, the mental breakdown of Grisha, basically saying, I don't want to harm children, oh, I don't want to do this, I don't want to get rid of the royal family, and you just see this overall mental state deteriorate throughout the episode. It is something that is just so well delivered by the voice actor. I'm just so pleased by it, because I did not expect such good performance, but somehow the voice actor of Grisha continuously nails some of the best moments throughout the entire Attack on Titan anime. Like, seriously, go back and watch some of Grisha's moments, like many moments we've had throughout the anime, and some of the best moments of Attack on Titan is thanks to his voice actor really just delivering so many different lines in such a way that it just blows your expectations out of the water. That's how I feel about that entire ending sequence, because I know many are going to instantly hone in on just the twists, the turns, and stuff of the story and all that, but Grisha's voice actor really needs to be praised, because that was just such a well-timed delivery of saying, Zeke, please stop Eren, and just the way the emotion was put into the voice, I was just like, holy crap, like, that is just such an excellent way to deliver all of that emotion, because the art and animation usually just, like, you know, is the main carrier of a lot of things in anime, but it was actually, I feel like, the voice acting that really carried that entire scene, even though the art was great. Like, the art and animation of that entire sequence was really good. I feel like it was just a compliment to the beautiful voice acting that was Grisha's VA. But enough with that, though. I want to just, let's talk about the twist. So, I feel like what everybody's going to be asking themselves after, you know, concluding this episode is, who's the bad guy? Like, I feel like that's going to be the first question everybody's going to ask, because when you look at what this episode tries to paint, and the details we got from the episode, it paints the story in a way to where Eren is basically the cause of it all. That's what this episode paints it as, because Grisha took down the royal family not because of his own actions and because of his own beliefs, but because of fate and Eren, adult Eren, weaving the story in that direction, which makes the entire dialogue from Eren to Grisha very ironic when he says, aren't you the one that started this story? Conclude it, basically. Like, the way that line is delivered as well, it's just so ironic, because when we look at the circumstances, everything going on in the episode, it paints it as Eren is the one that stirred the course of fate to this very direction, and he actually chose not to show Grisha things that actually happen in the future willingly, because he didn't want Grisha to fall, you know, in a different direction and not follow what Eren actually wants. Because when Grisha starts to complain, saying, I don't know if my wife is okay, I don't really know who survived or who's dead, I don't know what's really going to happen in the future, all I know is that horrible outcome of the future, you know, that's the only thing he actually saw. So it's clear as day that a lot of information was hidden from Grisha. He was not able to see everything that's happening in the future. Eren probably selectively chose things maybe not to allow him to see, and so he painted an image, he painted a picture for only Grisha to see, and Grisha had no idea what really would happen thanks to all of his actions. So it's just interesting to see that. It's really interesting to see that Eren, you know, is one that potentially has been weaving the story to this very direction, which means that you can go back and look at every individual thing that's happened throughout the story, and maybe somehow, in some way, tie it back to Eren himself. And let me kind of clarify what I mean by this. Even though Eren is obviously not the one to enact upon certain things, or certain character deaths, if we go by what we learned from this episode, especially with the reveal of basically Eren being the one to pet talk Grisha to get back up, like, do it, finish what you started, we can assume that he could have potentially talked to anyone, for instance, Grisha, to change the course of events where maybe the wall wouldn't have fallen, maybe to where, like, some people, like his mother, wouldn't have died. You know, so many different things could have been changed, basically, but he chose to keep history like it was throughout the entire journey of the story. So basically, he didn't change history. He only navigated to the point that he knew to make sure everything followed the correct course of history. So it's just like, it makes you wonder, can he actually change history, or was he locked to that general fate, and that he's just been guiding the entire timeline to that direction? There's a lot of ways to take it, and I know it's going to confuse a lot of people, and I know when I first read this manga chapter before, it got animated today, I remember I was trying to wrap my head around everything as well, because it's a lot to really take in, because it's like, is there time travel going on? Is it, the ability to basically manipulate time itself, where maybe some people could have been saved? Or is it basically fate cannot be changed and it's just been weaved to the point to where it's at currently right now? But regardless, Eren never did say anything. Even if fate theoretically could not be changed, he could have said something. He could have said something to Grisha about certain people dying, etc. But clearly he did not. So that is a big indication, though, of just the tampering of all the information, and that you could see that Eren could have changed things, but he didn't. So that's a big detail that needs to be focused on. So let's just take a backseat real quick. Let's back up and talk about other little details. One of the big things that does need to be mentioned is the fact that what this episode started off as and then what it ended up as. Majority of the episode is spent from Zeke trying to teach Eren. Like, hey, Eren, I will not abandon you. Eren, I want you to see how you've been brainwashed. Eren, I want you to actually be someone that understands why I'm having to do these things. That's what Zeke starts off as. And this kind of carries on with what I talked about in my video I made a few days ago, with how Zeke's love for Eren is something that just cannot easily be swayed. For instance, he loves Eren unconditionally. It's very clear by what this episode does, that throughout the journey of him showing different memories and stuff of Grisha to Eren, he's trying to let Eren see that there's more to the world, and why he's doing these actions of wanting to stop all of the Eldians from being able to reproduce. Just everything about the episode is showcasing that Zeke really does care about Eren. He looks at him as a younger brother he wants to protect, and even if Eren isn't everything that Zeke wants, Zeke even says himself he doesn't want to give up on Eren. He wants to always be there for him, basically as a good brother. And it's a very beautiful episode when you think about it from that context. Like, it's beautiful, and it kind of showcases that Zeke as a character isn't just this brute and savage that we've seen throughout the story. He really does have a genuinely good heart, and he really does want the best for Eren. But as the episode progresses and they find out more about, their father itself, Zeke's overall mental state slowly starts to take a step back, and you can see how he's just shocked by the events around him, by his very father's actions, because from Zeke's perspective, he's always been someone that felt like his father was a despicable person that just, was really willing to throw away his entire family just for the sake of his own ideals. That's, what Zeke kind of felt. He felt like his father was just a disgrace, but at the same time, even he said himself throughout the episode, is that he also praises his father because thanks to what he did, he caused Zeke to be like he is, and Zeke is trying to correct the world and technically save the day. So he still thanks his father to a certain degree. So throughout the episode, Zeke finds a new form of appreciation for his father. He kind of learns to accept him for who he is. And even though, like I said, the episode started off with Zeke trying to get Eren to basically, kind of get over his brainwashing or try to see from Zeke's perspective, Zeke is the one that gets the most from all of these flashbacks, basically seeing, what his father really was, why he did some of the actions he did throughout history, and Zeke changes incredibly. But obviously Eren is not mostly affected. He just continues from one scene to the next like he already knows what potentially is going to happen. That is something that definitely needs to be pointed out. But then we arrive to the given moment with, the royal family. And this is a big indication to show just how much Zeke is really being shocked by his overall father's reaction. His father doesn't want to get rid of the royal family. He literally throws away the knife, he gets on his knees, and he's like, I can't do it, and all that. And you can see that Zeke is just in shock, because he always felt like his father was a monster to a certain degree. But to know that he wasn't capable of it, he didn't know what was going on. But when Eren walked up and is like, do it, finish this. You started the story. I feel like Zeke in that moment realized there was so much more that he was completely unaware of. And then that is when his eyes slowly started to open up. And this kind of revealed the entire plot of what's been set up for a very long time, probably even before this meeting between Zeke and Eren. And let me explain. There's a certain pivotal moment throughout the episode where you see when it is revealed that Eren is able to basically talk with Grisha, or Grisha is able to see Eren's future, what's going to happen, and we get to see a scene where Eren kisses a hand. Now, this scene is actually a callback, and if you forgot, don't worry, I want to remind you. That scene is the moment when Eren kissed Historia's hand at the end of Season 3, before Studio MAPPA took over the anime series. And this was a big moment, because this opened the door up for Eren's character. When we look at how Eren is as a person right now, he changed a lot after that moment. As soon as he kissed Historia's hand, he saw something. We don't know what he saw. It was never fully clarified everything he saw, but we knew that Eren became more jaded, darker, and he saw something different. He didn't view the world in the exact same way, and one of the biggest indicators of that was at moments after that, when they finally get to the ocean for the first time, something that should be so sweet and happy, Eren just points across the ocean and says, "Is that where they are? Is that the enemies that I need to kill?" And basically everything about this taints that moment. This moment that should have been happy, finally reaching the ocean, getting to see so much joy out there, Eren couldn't even appreciate that, which once again showed Eren saw something that just ruined his perspective of the world itself, and he was no longer in denial, or I guess naive to what the world really was. So he obviously had something happen. He saw something really bad, and once again, it was never really shown what. But now we're getting hints at potentially what he saw and what has probably been put in place since the very beginning. With the kissing of Historia's hand, that was the first real time that, the founding Titan, or one of the founders' bloodlines, basically, came in contact with the attack Titan. And that is when Eren was able to meld with the future and past and kind of see some things. So we can assume that he knew. He knew what was potentially going to happen here since the very beginning, which is what set up this entire circumstance to what's going on right now at the end of the episode, because of when he actually made contact with Historia. I think I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's take a few steps back once again, and let's talk about what Grisha said to Zeke. Grisha says to Zeke, "Stop Eren." And this is a huge indication of something. It showcases that Grisha isn't on board with Eren. It shows such a different perspective that we did not probably ever expect to see until those words came from his mouth itself. Because we always believed that Grisha was pushing Eren to his destination, pushing him to the basement, pushing him to use that key and find out the truth of the world. But in reality, Eren was the one navigating his own self to that destination, and Grisha really didn't want that to begin with. Those words paint Eren as someone that isn't necessarily innocent, isn't someone that is, let's say, potentially the good guy. He potentially has caused a lot of problems, and maybe the start of this story, there's a lot more going on than meets the eye. It's a really good episode. I really love what Studio MAPPA did with this episode. It is great. It really elevates the manga content and does a good job. One thing I do want to point out, if you did not notice, there was multiple times that Grisha himself, when he was looking at our adult Eren. Like, seriously, look at it. When he was holding the key up, and you had little young Eren looking at his father, Grisha was looking at adult Eren, eye to eye, like, afraid. He was literally afraid, and he was looking at him. It's very brief, but you could see it in the episode itself. He was looking directly at adult Eren before the reveal was made towards the end of the episode. So, it's clear that Grisha probably saw Eren the entire time. He knew Eren was there. And that's what makes it horrifying to think about, that he was afraid of his own son. And that just, I couldn't imagine. I couldn't even imagine the torment he probably had to go through in realizing that his own son became something like this in the future, and having to realize that he was already dead to begin with, and he would have to give up his life. That's a big one. That's really a big one. It explains a lot more about Grisha's actions when he actually died as well, and why he was just so emotional, etc., telling Eren, "Here you go, here's the power," etc., because, he knew that Eren would would figure it out eventually. Just, it's crazy. But I'm gonna leave it at that. It's, like I said, it's a great episode of Attack on Titan. I love what Studio MAPPA did with this episode. It's just 10 out of 10. Probably the best episode of the anime to date, and easily one of the most important moments of the entire story. Like, easily. It is the most important moments of the entirety of Attack on Titan, and I really just, yeah, I love it. Studio MAPPA, the staff, they really are putting in their A-game. But, okay, I'm gonna leave it at that, though. Thank you so much for watching. If you, enjoy my content, please subscribe. It does help me out a lot. And, if you like this video, I give you any form of entertainment, please leave me a like on the video, because, once again, it helps with the algorithm, helps with videos popping up, etc. I would greatly appreciate it if you do. With that, guys, be safe, stay healthy. Chibi out.